Assalamu alaikum wa alaikum salam. My wife is not as pious as I am. And whenever we get into an argument, I come out a little, to seem a little extreme. How do I approach her in a good way? Okay, this is a very complicated question. It's hard for me to tell you exactly what to do with your wife. I don't know what pulls her away from Allah. Not pious, what do you mean? She prays and wears hijab and that's it? Or she doesn't pray and wear hijab? I don't know what that means. It's be detailed in your questions, please. It helps in the answer. But in general, if you come out having an argument and you come out seeming extreme, then you need to understand that she's not at the place where you are, and everyone has a different pace. So perhaps you're pushing her too hard to get to this place, and you appear extreme because you're pushing hard. So take it easy and take it one step at a time with her, and allow her to grow at her own pace, as long as she is growing. And take someone by the hand and help them through a process. All of us at some point, we weren't very practicing Muslims, and somebody came and gently took us by the hand and helped us get closer to Allah. Versus if someone just came to you, frowned at your face and said something harsh to you, you think that would immediately get you up and praying? Probably not. So just take it one step at a time with her, inshallah. Can a girl without hijab enter Jannah? Just put on your hijab, then be sure, inshallah. No one on the planet can tell you yes or no. You understand? The Prophet described there will be some people, and angels will put their hand in the hellfire like this and take out some people who did no good in their life and just throw them in Jannah. So you say, oh, there's hope for me. But come on now. They were in the hellfire and they were taken out of it. Is this how you want your plan to be? I want to go to the hellfire, and when the angel puts his hand, I'll hold the finger and he'll pull me out. So put on your hijab. It's not that difficult. Look how many sisters here have put it on. If they're able to do it, you're able to do it. So put on your hijab and you don't have to worry about that. And no shaykh on the earth can tell you, yes, if from your handwriting, sister, it looks like you will go to Jannah. Nobody knows this stuff. So just put on, just struggle, take baby steps to put on your hijab. First just put it loose, then tie it tighter and so on, until you get used to it. Take whatever baby steps you need, but no one can answer that question. And Allah Ta'ala said the truth. So, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Is it possible to make da'wah work for a living as a sister? Okay, so okay. Yes, it's possible, but obviously you might have to be with an organization, and many da'wah organizations, for example in America and Canada and so on, they will hire, and even in the UK, they will hire a da'wah position for a sister, and they'll offer her a salary and give her certain things, a certain amount of hours to fulfill per week. So the answer is yes, it's possible. Do you have that structure in Denmark? You would know the answer better. Wallahu a'lam. I've sinned years ago, and I feel like my past keeps haunting me. My Islamic sisters and brothers keep reminding me of my mistake. All I want to do is move on. How do I do that? Look, first of all, I don't know how Islamic these sisters and brothers are. From this description, that's not very Islamic, that they keep reminding you of your mistake. Look, don't ever do that to people. Only wicked people do that. Do you understand? One more time. If you used to sin in your past, then you made tawbah. Now you've got a beard and stuff, and you wear hijab, and then every time they see you, they keep telling you, now you got the beard, do you remember what you used to do? When someone does this to you, that's a sign of, and I'm not going to say the person is evil. They could also be ignorant. But the scholars say, you know who does that? You know who did that? The worst guy ever. Fir'aun did that. When Musa comes back to him and says, I'm a prophet of Allah, he says, أَلَمْ نُرَبِّكَ فِينَا وَلِيدًا وَلَبِسْتَ فِينَا مِنْ عُمْرِكَ سِنِينَ وَفَعَلْتَ فَعَلَتَكَ الَّتِي فَعَلْتَ. Exactly what your friends are doing. Fir'aun started to tell him, oh, you killed a man and you did all this stuff and we raised you in our house. Now you're a prophet? He's bringing the past. It was very un-Islamic. How do you move past your sin? You stop doing it. You feel bad for doing it, which it seems that, mashallah, the writer is already doing that. You feel bad for doing it, and you resolve to honestly, sincerely never go back to it. And if you're a good believer, you can do things on top of that. You can keep doing good deeds to make up for it. Give in sadaqah to make up for that sin. Just like Umar radiallahu anhu. he didn't even commit a sin, he just questioned the Prophet a bit too much after Hudaybiyah, and then he says, فَعَمِلْتُ لِذَلِكَ عَمَلًا. I did years of work just to cover up for that sin, even though it wasn't really a sin. So you can do a lot of good deeds to cover up for it, you feel bad for it, and these people who keep reminding you of it, tell them stop acting like Fir'aun, Allah Ta'ala.
Just a small question.
Okay. She says, Assalamu alaikum, what is your favorite surah? Okay, actually, I'm not good at answering any favorite or most or best kind of questions. I'm not good at that. And you ask me which is your favorite wife, all these things I'm just kidding, I'm kidding. Sister's like, I'm just kidding. But I don't have favorite anything. I don't have a favorite color. I think there's only one thing in the world I have a favorite of, and that's my favorite food. And that's sushi, hands down. But beyond that, I don't have a favorite anything. I don't have a favorite country. And I definitely don't have a favorite surah. But at the moment, the surah that I enjoy teaching the most, absolutely hands down, is Surah An-Nur. So it's a really amazing surah, and that's the class that I'm currently teaching. Does an action count if you don't feel it, but only do it for the sake of Allah? And how do you define doing something for the sake of Allah? Yeah, look, questions like this, it shows that the questioner, may Allah accept from them, is thinking too much into it. Like, how do you define doing something for the sake of Allah? Look, don't complicate it. When you complicate it, it becomes difficult. Like, how do I know if it's for the sake? How do I know? And how is something done for the sake of Allah? I mean, you do it intending to please Allah. Don't complicate it. You understand? Don't get too philosophical with it. You're doing something intending to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with it. As much as possible, you're trying to push everyone out of it. You're not doing it to show off to this person. You're not doing it so this person says, oh look, mashallah. As much as you can, you stop, you refresh your intention, renew your intention, and say, I'm only doing this for Allah. If in the middle of the act, you feel like I'm doing it so this person says, oh look at that, stop and say, look, now I'm doing it for Allah. Ya Allah, speak to Allah. I'm doing this for you, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, help me purify my intention. That's the good news. You can renew your intention. There's a difference between doing an act of worship and doing it and focusing. And you know that, for example, salah. You can do the mechanical act of worship. And you can focus a little bit. And Allah might accept the act of worship. And you can do it and focus a lot. And Allah will accept it and you get more reward for it. You understand? So your reward can vary based on how much you focus and how much you did for the sake of Allah, and it still might be acceptable. That's why in the hadith, the Prophet ﷺ starts to mention different fractions, 1/10 and 2/10 and 3/10, and he said, oh, these are the ajr you get from the salah based on how much you focus. So the more you focus, the more reward you get, and the less you focus, the less reward. But that doesn't mean that the salah itself is not accepted. Don't allow, this is a trick of the shaitan, don't allow him to, you weren't focusing 100%, so therefore it's not accepted. How do you know this was for the sake of Allah? Maybe it was for the sake of... Don't allow the shaitan to ruin your deeds that way. Wallahu ta'ala. Is it true Muslims were only allowed to live in the West provided that they do da'wah? Excellent, this is a good question. And this was, basically you have about 3 opinions on that. Yeah. The Maliki opinion said it's haram, impermissible for you to live in the West. Okay? And they did this because the Malikis, their history was they were in Spain. And what happened in Spain? The Spanish Inquisition, and it was a nightmare for the Muslims in Spain. So the madhab took this opinion. And they based it also on a hadith and an ayah. And the hadith, the Prophet said, I have nothing to do with any Muslim who lives amongst the non-believers. And the hadith is weak. And an ayah that the angels will take their soul while they were doing injustice to themselves. The angels will ask them, wasn't that Allah's earth wasi'ah, wide and huge, couldn't you travel anywhere you want? So they use this ayah. But others, they take the opinion that even this ayah means this is where they lived in a place where they couldn't practice their religion. So the condition that if you can practice your religion freely, you can live wherever you want. There's a companion named Fudayk, and he didn't make hijrah. You understand? So some people told him it's haram for you to live and not make hijrah. So he traveled all the way to Medina, and he asked the Prophet ﷺ, and he said, Ya Rasulullah, is it halal for me to live there? And the Prophet ﷺ tells him, Ya Fudayk, establish your salah and live wherever you want. You understand? And that's authentic, this narration. And the other hadith of I have nothing to do with the Muslim living amongst the non-Muslim. This is a weak hadith. Even Imam Bukhari said it's not authentic. So the answer is that this used to be one of the old things people would say. The only way to live in the West is if you're going to give da'wah. The only way to live in the West is if you're only here for studies or only here for medicine, for treatment. But now you don't find any scholar saying this, because now there are people from the West, like you guys, this is the only country, and that's all you know. So why should we compel you to go to Egypt all of a sudden? And it's not even realistic to tell all the millions of Muslims living in the West, okay, all of you go back to Egypt and Morocco, and to do what? Someone takes Shahada in Copenhagen and tell them, okay, Ashhadu an la ilaha. Now you have to pack your bags and leave. What kind of religion is this? Now I gotta leave and stuff. So that was some old statements, but few people say that anymore. Wallahu ta'ala. This one?
This is interesting.
This is a tough one. It says, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. If a sister passes by a Muslim brother who is smoking a joint, is it her duty to stop him or say something to him? You guys know what a joint is? Marijuana, hashish, bango, Mary Jane. Okay. Al-Muhim, tough question. Where does this happen all the time? This sister walks by the same brother. So, how are you doing today, sister? I don't know, Allah. I can't answer that. Asad, what do you think? I mean, I don't see why it would be haram for her to tell him, ittaqillah or something. But doesn't she have a brother or something? She could get a brother on him, you know. I don't know about encouraging sisters to go to these druggies and say, brother, leave the heroin, brother, why the crack, brother, what? I don't know, I can't answer that one. It's too risky for me, so I'm not going to do it. It says, how can I in my job give more da'wah? I'm working as a nurse assistant with handicapped people with mental diseases on top, and their elders, and some don't have a language, or some understand language. I'm wearing my hijab, jilbab, and do my best to help and guide the how to give da'wah to people who only understand little. Look, if they have the mental capacity to understand La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah, okay, and somehow act upon that, then you can give them da'wah and just talk to them. If they're beyond that, they're not accountable anyways. Let's say they have a mental defect since birth. They don't understand anything. Then this person is not accountable anyways. It's not a mukallaf, nor is it someone that's... Because remember, you have to be sane and all that. So this person doesn't even have the mental capacity to understand what you're saying. What kind of da'wah are you going to give him? There's nothing you can do here in a case like this. Or a man who's already senile. He's like severe Alzheimer's, and every time you explain something to him, he's like, where am I? I'm going nowhere. Well, actually, one time I tried to give da'wah to a madman, right? This was many years ago when I was young. And every time I would tell him, and he looks like he's listening. And then he just interrupts me with the strangest, craziest thing. So I just realized, like, you know what, hey, it doesn't work like this. And I'm near DC, Washington DC is full of crazy people. So we learn now that when you see a crazy man, just have a nice day, sir, just keep walking. Because there's nothing you can do here. If someone has the capacity to understand, give them da'wah. If they don't, then there's nothing you can do. Allah. How do you keep a balance between what you show the people of righteousness and what is hidden from people? Look, there are some acts that are between you and Allah. You keep these hidden. These are top secret. And these are acts, in certain acts you can't hide from people. These you have to do in front of people. And then there's certain acts that sometimes there's a benefit in showing them to everybody. So for example, fasting is a secret between you and Allah. So if you fast, you don't have to let the world know that you're fasting. Some people can't wait until you ask them if they want some water, just so they can tell you they're fasting. Don't. It's a secret between you and Allah. Some of the early Muslims will fast every other day for 40 years and their own family wouldn't know it. Their own family wouldn't know. Fasting is a secret between you and Allah. You wake up and pray Qiyam, it's a secret between you and Allah. You don't have to let everybody know tomorrow that, hey, I woke up for Qiyam. Don't do that. And some people try to find a way to bring it up. So every 2 minutes they stretch. Then you don't notice it again. Then you ask them, are you tired? Yes, I have to wake up for a Qiyam. Oh. It's a secret between you and Allah. Some deeds you can't hide. I'm not going to go to Jum'ah. Because if I go to Jum'ah, they'll say, MashaAllah, he's coming to Jum'ah. So it's better I pray Jum'ah at home? No. But sometimes you start a charity, you start giving in charity, and you will encourage other people. And that's what the man did, right? Prophet asked for charity, to distribute to the poor. And the man came and gave the first bunch, and then people started to follow. The Prophet said, "من سن في الإسلام سنة حسنة." Whoever starts a good sunnah in Islam, فله أجرها وأجر من عمل بها. He will get the reward for doing it and the reward for those who do it, because he started it. So just break it up like that. And whenever you can hide, hide. And whenever you can't hide, khalas. But don't make display of things all the time. Wallahu. What can you do if your mistakes and your regrets haunt you night and day? How do you get over it? Just keep making tawbah to Allah Azza wa Jal, okay? And the Prophet in one hadith, instead of saying the believer, he said, whoever is pleased by his good deeds and kind of like bothered by his bad deeds, instead of saying the believer. Because that's a description of the believer. When you do good deeds, you're pleased. And when you do bad deeds, you're kind of in a way haunted by them. But whenever it gets to the point where it starts to paralyze you, and you can't do anything, and why should I do this? And I'm going to Quran class, look at the sins I've done in the past. Does Allah want you to go to the Quran class? Look at your sins, look how impure you are. When it gets to that point, shaitan is just tricking you. So it's not a bad thing to feel bad for your sins, but when it gets to the point where it's paralyzing you and stopping you from moving forward, then it's a trick from the shaitan. Don't allow it to get to that point. Just keep making istighfar. Maybe do some huge good deeds to make you feel better. And you could do umrah, ask Allah to forgive, fast. For a month, just keep fasting a lot and ask Allah to forgive, charity, ask Allah to forgive, and so on and so forth. Allah. Would you encourage a Muslim to study law in a non-Muslim country, between brackets, Denmark? Yes, very much so. Who studies law in here, by the way? Who's studying law? One guy. Any sisters? One sister, two sisters, three sisters. MashaAllah, you four are going to have a lot of business, inshallah, in the future. Because you're the only four in the whole room. Let me tell you something. You don't study law, I don't know how you make it as a community and as a minority in this country. And we learned this the hard way. After 9/11, they started destroying Muslims left and right, leaders, organizations. And then we realized the value of having Muslim lawyers. First, we just make all these jokes about lawyers and other crooks. Then, like the man, he's in jail. And they asked him, so was your father a thief too? The man said, no, my father was a lawyer. They said, oh, so it runs in the family? Sorry guys, you guys. Denmark, man. Okay. I heard some people say it's not permissible. What is the scholar's opinion? I personally don't know of any scholar who said you can't study law. I have never heard, and we've sat with scholars and listened to scholars and heard scholars, never heard a scholar say you can't study law. And there's some others who said, enforcing laws that are not part of the Sharia. There's some disagreement there. But study law if you want. Allah. Is it not allowed to look at a man twice? But when an imam or a sheikh holds a dars like this one today, a woman looks at the sheikh more than 2 times. Isn't that a sin? Okay, good question. The scholars say that a woman can look at non-mahram men as long as there's no desire involved. That's the majority opinion, by the way. That a woman can look at a non-mahram man as long as there's no desire involved. If there's desire involved, immediately look away. And Allah will know. So that it's up upon you at that point to look away. What's the evidence that a woman can look at a non-mahram man with no desire? The scholars mentioned when the Abyssinians were doing the display in the masjid, the Prophet allowed Aisha to look. And she looked for a long time and he kept asking her, are you done? And she said, no. Are you done? She said, no. And she kept looking and he allowed her. Then the scholars also mentioned that, okay, so you're allowed for a woman to look at a man with no desire. So you can look once, twice, 3 times, as long as there's no desire, whatever, he looks like a gorilla. It doesn't matter, you're not attracted, fine. The point is now, the Prophet ﷺ, he was going to be visited by Abdullah ibn Maktoum. Ibn Maktoum, he was the companion who was a blind man, famous for Abasa wa Tawalla, famous for the second adhan the second adhan of Fajr, famous for also being in charge of Medina when the Prophet ﷺ would leave on an expedition. He was coming to visit the Prophet ﷺ and he's blind. So the Prophet ﷺ told his wives, احتجبا منه. احتجبا doesn't mean wear hijab. It means go behind the barrier, meaning go to another room or go somewhere where you can't see him. So they said, Ya Rasulullah, he's blind. He can't see us. So he said to them, أَفَعَمْيَوَانِ أَنْتُمَا. Are you too blind? You can see him. So that means the general attitude is the women, they don't stare at men. But if there's like a class, especially scholars say, a class, the waiter, these are not places of shahwa. Yeah, a job interview, you're already worried about the job interview. This is not a place of shahwa. So they say in places like this, if you look, there's nothing, inshallah. But if there is something, there is some desire involved, or fitna, then you look away. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. I'm feeling somewhat insecure with what I should say when non-Muslims ask me whether, if it gets too hot in hijab or on a really hot sunny day. Is there a general answer you can give me that you can give basically the atheist or something? Okay, so a non-Muslim, it's a hot day, you're wearing hijab and they ask you, isn't it too hot for you wearing hijab? Don't feel insecure, just answer. If you're hot, say yeah, it's a little hot. If you're not hot, say no, it's okay today, I'm fine. If you say yeah, it's a little hot, and then they say, well, why are you wearing it if it's hot? Tell them because the hellfire is hotter. Actually, I know a sister who said that. Every time someone tells you, it's a hot day, aren't you hot? Yes, but the hellfire is hotter. What? Yeah, let me explain to you. Bam! We're giving da'wah all of a sudden. You understand? Don't feel insecure. Like I said, the punk is in the bus with orange hair and things stuck all over his face and clips here, tattoos, and he's not ashamed. He's looking at you like you're weird. Like, did you look in the mirror recently? So don't be ashamed, don't be insecure. Hijab is part of who you are for life, right? Yeah, talk to, if you're hot, say, yeah, I'm hot. Yeah, then they ask you, well, why don't you take it, then explain, you got a da'wah opportunity. And if you're not hot, say, no, I'm okay today, it's fine. Yeah, or, oh, we only got 2 hot days in Denmark, the rest are all cold anyway. So, don't worry about these things, be very relaxed, that's who you are, khalas. Wallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. I just started practicing and I have a group of Muslim friends who don't practice Islam. I really do love them, but they don't understand that I have changed. And I really do want my friends that I love for the sake of Allah, should I cut them off for the sake of Allah, or what is your opinion on this? Okay, inshallah, I'm going to try to never give my opinion. I'll just give you one of the scholars' opinions or something. I don't have opinions. I just follow existing opinions. There's a guideline here. If you're affecting them positively, the scholars say you remain with them. If they're affecting you negatively, stay away. You never do anything at the expense of your own deen and your own iman. So I'm not going to walk into the nightclub just to make sure my friends don't drink and make sure they don't dance with it. No. Now you're putting yourself at risk. If I have 4 friends from my old days and I change and they didn't change and I want to give them da'wah and I try all the time and they're starting to change, some of them starting to pray and starting to behave better, one of them starting to cut down on smoking, I'm having a positive change on them, then I stay with them. But if they're starting to have a negative change on me, now I'm hanging with them, delaying my salah, then I stop hanging with them because my iman is very important. With your family, it's a different rule. With the family, the scholars say you don't move away from family ever. You stay, advise, resist and advise. It's not one or the other. You resist and you give advice. Wallahu ta'ala, these are the guidelines. How can one blend into society but at the same time not lose their own Muslim identity? That's easy. Shave your beard. You guys are serious, man. No. Okay. Look, I don't know what you mean by blend in society. Like, how do I go unnoticed? Or how do we become a normal part of society? If you're saying how I become a normal part of society, just normal guy, with good morals, and I'm just not looked at as a stranger. I go to work, I come back, I contribute to my community, my neighborhood. That makes perfect sense. But if you're saying how do I disappear and not be noticed, you're going to be noticed. You're always going to be noticed. And that's just, read the seerah, read the history of Islam, that's how it works. Okay? Being a believer, you stand out amongst unbelievers. So if you want to blend, meaning disappear, why would the believer even want to disappear? So I'm hoping that the questioner is saying, how to be a normal part of society, and unless there's something very strange about Denmark where they don't allow you, then it should be normal and easy. If there's something I don't understand, I think talk to your local sheikh. But if you want to dissolve and just disappear and be unnoticed, why? You're a believer. You're the beacon and you're the guide, the guiding light for all the people around you at work. I know people at work, the non-Muslim friends start fasting, stop using bad words because of their influence. And this one person, the only Muslim in the entire office, and everyone stopping bad words, they start fasting. Not even Ramadan, just fasting because he fasts. So this is who you are. A role model, not someone who wants to just get lost in the crowd. You're too special to get lost in the crowd. So make sure that's not what you ask. Wallahu a'lam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. How do I help my parents, family to be more practicing and give da'wah without acting like I'm better? When we answer this question in the Dawah workshop, we actually create an entire worksheet. And in the worksheet, you break down your parents' personality type. Are they emotional? Are they thinkers? Are they logical type of people? How religious are they? Are they very, you go through all that. And then based on breaking down and analyzing the personality, based on that, we come up with the best technique for that personality type. And so for me, like this, I don't know how old you are, how old they are, the relationship you have with them, how unpracticing are they? Are they straight up anti-Islamic, or are they neutral, or they pray sometimes, go to Eid, Jum'ah? So I'm very sorry, I'm not good at answering questions like that. And I personally, this is now my opinion, I don't believe anyone sitting here can give this answer and without knowing these details and give a good answer. But they're the general things of, speak. Can you not speak without showing that you're superior and better? It's possible. Speak politely, and sometimes you don't do it through you. I know someone whose father didn't pray. He had his father's best friend convince him to pray. Or he talked to his mother to talk to his father about praying, because he doesn't have that relationship with his father where he can tell him, Father, pray, right? Sometimes you leave the book. All these things have worked in the past. Leave the book on the coffee table, your dad might just pick it up about prayer and start reading it. Leave the CD about hijab in your mother's car, and when she starts the car, the lecture might start, and so many things. Or you, again, the phone technique is unbelievable. Your mother's sitting, cooking and stuff, you are on the phone. And let me tell you about salah. Allah mentioned salah 600 times in the Quran. And how can you tell me that I have a clean heart and yet I don't pray? That's like saying I have clean teeth, but I don't brush my and just keep going like that, So use these different techniques. And if it doesn't work, use another one. Get creative, use another one until something works. Wallahu ta'ala. How do you learn to practice what you already know? These are the kind of questions I like. That's some serious stuff. That's how the companions were. They asked the Prophet because they want to practice it. Now we just ask because we want to pile up knowledge, right? A brother will come to you wearing a big gold chain. Assalamu alaikum, brother. Gold chain's haram? Yes, for men it's haram. You have to take it off. I think exactly the same thing. So take it off, sweetheart. Will you just gather information? Take it off. So this is a big problem. There's a lecture on YouTube called Why Don't We Apply What We Learn? So go on YouTube, you write, Why Don't We Apply What We Learn? And when you click that, you will see a caption. It has a very handsome man. And the caption, click it. That's that lecture. He will look a lot like me. Now, that's the same lecture in Arabic. It's a phenomenal lecture by Shaykh Kamal El Mekki, and it says, it's called لماذا لا نطبق ما تعلمناه. It's, for me personally, one of the most beneficial lectures I heard in my entire life. It's called Why Don't We Apply What We Learn? So this is a translation of that lecture actually. And in being an engineer by trade, Shaykh al-Munajjid, his lectures are very organized. His analysis is very good. So I would say, if you speak Arabic, listen to his lecture. If not, listen to it in English. It's almost the same thing. Why don't we apply what we learn? The story about the Shaykh who was hiding. How could the woman see the angels? Is it possible for a human to see an angel? Is it possible for a human to see an angel? Yes or no? Yes, and it is possible. Now, don't get your hopes up now. These are very rare instances. Like in the last thousands of years, we know few instances of humans who saw angels. But they didn't see them in the angelic form. They saw them in human form. Do you remember the hadith of the man that was going to visit his friend in another village? And then an angel came to him in the form of a man, and he said, "Where are you going?" He said, "I'm going to this village." "Why?" "I'm going to meet someone." "What do you want from him?" He said, "Nothing. Just I love him for the sake of Allah." "Well, I'm an angel sent to you by Allah to tell you that Allah loves you because of your love for your brother." This man saw an angel. Did he become a prophet, by the way? No, not every time an angel approaches you, you become a prophet. And there are other hadith as well, a number of other hadith of angels approaching people, and they didn't become prophets. Just like Maryam as well. Jibreel came to her, she didn't become a prophet. So it's, and these are just rarities, but it's possible. Now, can we also conclude for sure that there were angels? There can also be Muslim jinn, right? I was in Sudan like 3 years ago, and there was a woman. Remember that story? The woman, the young girl. She was a little girl, and she was herding her father's sheep, and she lost one sheep, and her father threw her in a well in the middle of the desert, and she stayed in that well for I forget how many days. And I saw her on television and everything. He dropped her in the well and just left her there in the desert. So she said every night a man wearing white would come and bring down a container of milk, and she would drink it. That's how she stayed alive. So everybody said, angel. It doesn't have to be. It could be a Muslim jinn. Muslim jinn knows there's a little girl who's 8 years old in the bottom of a well. They'll give her milk. So it doesn't have to be an angel. People say Allah's book, is it correct when it was sent as speech? Yeah, it's just technicalities. The Quran is the speech of Allah. It's also the book of Allah. Yeah, and Allah called it a book. So it's not a problem. Whose book is it? Allah. كِتَابٌ أَنزَلْنَاهُ إِلَيْكَ. A book we sent down to you. هَذَا كِتَابٌ أَنزَلْنَاهُ إِلَيْكَ. This is a book we sent down to you. Allah called it a book. Whose book is it? It's Allah's book. So if I say Allah's book, it has Kitabullah. Yeah, and the Prophet said it as well. The book of Allah and the Sunnah of His Messenger. And you could say the speech of Allah, and they're both accurate. And shouldn't get that technical. Wallahu a'lam. Okay. Oh, really? Which position would be best for a Muslim woman? To stay at home and tend to the house and children and focus on the deen, or get out and work and be productive in society, for example at Islamic school as a full-time job? You know something? Let me tell you something. When you say go out and work and be productive, you're insinuating that staying at home and being a staying-at-home mom, she's not productive and she's not doing something important for society. And realistically, this question is like saying, what is better for the woman? To study law and become a lawyer, or to study nursing and become a nurse? What do you want to do? Yeah, which one is better, law or nursing? There is no better, is there? What do you want to do? Law? Khalas, study law. Nursing? Study nursing. So, it's not that you're unproductive if you're taking care of the children at home. This is one of the most noble, incredible things you can do. This is how also you build society. And sometimes you can clearly see, especially in the West, that it might take more precedence over getting an extra paycheck for the home. And you will work harder than the person who, recently there was an article about stay-at-home mothers. Stay-at-home mothers, they work like crazy. And they work more than a woman who goes to her office, because she goes to the office, then she gets coffee break, then she gets lunch break, then she gets, in America we have a break every 2 hours, you get a 15-minute break. The stay-at-home mother, she doesn't get a break for 1 second, right? Even when she goes to the bathroom, the children are knocking on the door and crying, ah, hoya. So, I don't think this is a type of fiqh question, but if you're able to, and there are women like this who take care of their home and their children, and they work at the Islamic school full-time as well. If you can do that, Allahu Akbar, you've got the best of both worlds. in your opinion, what is the material benefit of praying 5 times a day regularly besides the spiritual benefit? I don't know what material benefit means. Material utility, it says. Do you mean like physically what you get from praying? Exercise, because I don't think it's exercise. I don't see prayer as exercise. I don't think I understand this question, and I don't want to George Bush it and just take a shot in the dark. So. Okay, how should a revert deal with his non-Muslim family, Christmas time, and so on and so forth? Look, in general, you deal with your family in the best possible way. They want to see the best out of you, come out of you because you've become Muslim. If you become Muslim and all that happens in the home is just fighting and arguments and debates, then they're going to attribute all this negativity to your newfound religion. So when you become Muslim, especially, you want to show them that you're at the best of your manners, the best of your akhlaq. And there's a story of a young man who became Muslim, and he just started treating his mother the best treatment. She became Muslim. Versus the guy who just debated with his father all the time. He watched some videos now, he wants to debate his dad and debate his brother and debate his sister, and makes the whole house hate religion and the topic of religion. I would say when it comes to celebrations, haram, drinking, music, all these things, you can stand your ground in a very polite way without losing your good manners and your good behavior. And you can, and your family over a while will start to understand what you, where your boundaries are. See, if from the first day you just leave every boundary and every guideline and every haram for the sake of the family, then they will never do anything for your sake. But some of the scholars say things like certain celebrations where the whole family gets together, like when we have Thanksgiving in America and stuff. Have Thanksgiving with your family, and it might be a good opportunity for you. We don't tell you leave the house on Thanksgiving, get a hotel room for Thanksgiving. So times when the family gets together and there's interaction, you can stay from the haram as much as you can and still be part of the family. Yes?
5 minutes.
It says, I want to try and change my life for a better one Islamically. Where do you think I should start? And look, this is like a program, one time one of the scholars was asked this question. And it's basically he's almost asking the Shaykh for a schedule, wake up and do this and say this many times, and the Shaykh said, just don't let Allah see you where He commanded you to not be. He said you shouldn't be at the nightclub, shouldn't be at a place that's haram. Make sure Allah never finds you in these places. And make sure Allah always finds you where He commanded you to be. He commanded you to be in the masjid during the time of the salawat, the front row, or the best row, the back row for the women, what have you. Jum'ah, nice and early. So make sure Allah always sees you where He commanded you to be, and He never finds you where He told you not to be. Fear Allah Azza wa Jal as much as you can in every aspect of your life. And it's impossible for anyone to give you a schedule. But you're God conscious all the time. And that's why when the Prophet was asked, what are the 2 top things that take you to Jannah? And he said, Taqwa Allah wa husn al-khuluq. Taqwa Allah, being God conscious, the fact that Allah is watching you all the time. And that affects everything. What you look at, Allah is watching. Because it's so easy to look at the haram. No one will know. You can be walking with your own wife and look at women and she wouldn't know. Because you don't have to move your head to look at women. Just your eyes, and your eyes are fast. So your wife is right next to you, and there you are. Bam! You just saw it. There you go. Bam! There's another one. Right? It's very easy. You can be wearing sunglasses, looking at women all day. Everyone's like, mashallah, brother, so-and-so lowered his gaze. Because you're wearing sunglasses, you're doing this. But all day you're like, So, fear Allah Azza wa Jalla as much as you can in every aspect of your life. Allah.
I think the last 2 questions. 3 questions.
Any advice on how or what to do in order to make the Islamic community stronger in a small town? Not exactly. The one piece of advice is that focus on quality. We love quantity these days. We love big numbers. And we don't appreciate as much small numbers that are quality. But focus on quality. I don't have time to go into it, but if you look at some of the history of da'wah, you'll find that they focus on quality, building up the individual properly, and then moving on to the next stage. So focus on the quality in your small town. Focus on the quality of classes, on the quality of the reverts and the shahadas, build them up to a level. And in America, for the longest time, we focus on quantity. So we go out for some street da'wah, 20 people become Muslim, we come back and we announce it to the community. Allahu Akbar, brothers and sisters, 20 people took shahada today. Allahu Akbar, takbir, takbir, takbir. Everyone's excited. Then what happens? Absolutely nothing. Does a single one of the 20 come to the masjid and pray? Not one. Not one. So focus on the quality in your small town and don't worry about how many people show up and what the event looked like and there were 300 people in the masjid. It doesn't matter. 10 serious people are better than 300 who are not serious. Allah. This is the one. Okay, I think we already did this. It says, what's your advice to young Muslims? They don't have opportunity to pray in school because of a strict policy. This is almost all high schools in Denmark don't allow Muslims to pray in the breaks. Who's the brother said you're allowed? It's steering me the wrong way and stuff. And by the way, we have tried to stand up for our rights, but they have threatened to expel us permanently from school. Okay. Wallah, I have to tell you, the number one rule, don't ask foreigners local questions. Because if they're smart, they'll tell you, I don't know, ask your local sheikh. And if they're not that smart, they'll give you some wrong answer. So this is a very Dinamarcan kind of question. And I don't know the dynamics. In America, I'll tell you exactly what we're going to do. Yeah, we have some known style in America. Oh yeah, I'm going to call the news and the radio and we'll embarrass you. We're going to be out with signs and then there'll be pressure on the school and then the news reporters will be out and then the school will be like, guess what? We built a musalla for you here. But in Denmark, I don't know how things work. And I don't think you should ask someone who's not a local. Ask your local mashayikh. Allah.
That's one. Make dua. There's more than one. Just to make dua for them.
Okay. It says, make dua for me. I'm a lost soul. I see all the things that are happening in the world and I want to change and get close to Allah Azza wa Jalla. And it says, I'm sick and I haven't felt healthy in years and doctors say nothing is wrong with me. Please make dua for me that Allah makes me healthy because this is now affecting my school. SubhanAllah. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to facilitate your affairs and to give you good health and to strengthen your iman and to forgive your sins, inshallah Azza wa Jal. And it could be that whenever you're physically okay, but you feel sick, it could be depression, it could be something that's affecting you mentally as well. And there's absolutely nothing wrong and nothing shameful with seeking therapy. This is another problem in the Muslim community where someone needs to go to a therapist and they don't go. Because we've got this, this back home mentality where if you go to a psychiatrist, that means you're crazy. You go to a psychiatrist, tum pagal ho gaya. So, yeah, don't feel free to go and get, because you don't want to be feeling like a lost soul and miserable and all that. Do your best to get close to Allah Azza wa Jal and seek the therapy. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. And if it'll make your life better, then why not? Wallahu ta'ala.